It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
Sports on CBC, les championnats U-Sport, brought to you in part by, vous êtes présenté par Nike Team, Just Do It, faites-le. Baron, exclusive supplier of U-Sports championship rings. Le fournisseur exclusif des bagues de championnat U-Sport. Fox 40, celebrating a decade of the Fox 40 U-Sports Coach of the Year program. Fier partenaire des prix de l'entraîneur de l'année U-Sport depuis 10 ans. By Veriburn, proud medical supplier to university sports since 1979. Fier partenaire du sport universitaire depuis 1979. The Government of Canada, le gouvernement du Canada, et par Mikasa, l'étoile montante du volleyball, le V200W, ballon officiel de U-Sport. And by Mikasa, makers of volleyball's hottest star, the V200W, the official volleyball of U-Sports.
Good evening and welcome inside War Memorial Gym, host of the U-Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship presented by Mikasa, where it is semifinal Saturday, and the two teams you are about to watch picking up upset wins last night. UBC defeating Brock in 4 sets, Manitoba in an exciting one in 5 sets over Mount Royal. My name is Tim James alongside Toby Kerr. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we get to previewing this matchup, Toby, because these two teams out here have some history in this gym, we'll touch on that in a moment. Let's talk about what happened earlier today, including what just happened with Trinity Western advancing to that championship final.
Well, we've had another great day of volleyball here, day 2 of the championships. It started with the Battle of Quebec, UQAM getting the best of McGill 3-1 in the first consolation. Then a very spirited and very close second consolation semi, Mount Royal edging out Brock 3-2, full 5 sets there. Then we were treated to an excellent performance by Trinity Western, top team in the country, putting on a clinic, getting the straight sets win over Dalhousie.
Now here we are, it's UBC and Manitoba, and hey, let's rewind and go back to February. It was on the 24th and 25th that we saw these two teams go head-to-head in a quarterfinal matchup in the Canada West. UBC, the favorite, the host of the, obviously, U-Sports Championship, but they come in as the host and not having earned it, because what happened back in February?
Well, it was a shocker here for Thunderbirds fans. Manitoba came in and they simply outclassed the Thunderbirds in that matchup. They came in with a big surprise, the 6th seed in the Canada West Finals, sweeping away UBC, able to beat them in the quarterfinals. It means it's been a long layoff here for the host team, though they've shaken off some rust and looked pretty good here. However, you better believe that UBC will be looking for some revenge in front of the home crowd.
And UBC also coming tonight with a little more rest than Manitoba, because they had to play that exciting, thrilling 5-setter last night that went after hours against Mount Royal. We'll have more on this in just a moment, and also set up some of the players that you can expect to watch out there on the court here at War Memorial Gym as you are watching the U-Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship presented by Mikasa.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
The Manitoba Bisons just being introduced here at War Memorial Gym. Oh, and there we go, the lights dropping for UBC. But Toby, let's talk about some of the players that were just introduced. We can say so much about Rhea Surinks, the Rookie of the Year in U Sports, but let's focus in on the player of the match from last night. That was Ella Gray.
Well, Ella Gray, the second year, getting a chance to play awfully close to her hometown of Surrey and perhaps in front of some friends and family. That was the extra motivation she needed because she put up a season-high 14 kills in that one. But as impressive as anything was her defense. Someone standing at 5'11", playing superb back row defense, 10 digs as well. Very efficient, hitting almost 40%. Ella Gray did everything for the Bisons.
Now, whether it be Gray or Surinks, whoever's putting that attack, we also have the defense that we need to focus in on. And when it comes to the libero wearing the blue jersey tonight, it's Casey Jost for UBC.
And she's the best in Canada West, the libero of the year winner, who's also played very well against Manitoba. She set a career high in this very gym a few weeks ago against Manitoba in the quarterfinals with 28 digs, and they'll need a similar performance to book a spot in the gold medal game.
What a showing for the Canada West, this conference coming into the national tournament with 4 teams within the top 8, and here the 3 remaining teams. Of course, Trinity Western advancing earlier, and now you have UBC and Manitoba. This is it, the Canada West again, quite a showing. But Toby, when we look at this for UBC, a good record, 18-6 during the regular season. Manitoba at 14-10, and I think going into this tournament, we had some contenders. Take a look at Brock, the champion, coming out of Ontario. UBC knocking them off to move on. Manitoba over Mount Royal last night in that thrilling 5-setter. I don't think many volleyball fans would have predicted this would be the semifinal here on the Saturday.
Well, certainly because UBC started the season red hot at 8-0, and they sort of trailed off. The consistency wasn't there. Obviously, an early exit from the Canada West playoffs might have left some questioning where they would be coming in here. Manitoba on the other side, as my partner yesterday, Jake McGrail, put it, slayed the dragon against the MRU Cougars, who had beaten them 4 times between the regular season and playoffs. So these are 2 teams that are playing some of their best volleyball of the year right now, and I cannot wait to see who earns that berth to the final.
You can see the Thunderbirds wearing the white jerseys. They will be on the left side of your screen. Of course, in that blue jersey is Casey Jost, who we just mentioned, the libero. Going back to serve is Erica Vermette to get things underway for the Thunderbirds. And Ryan Bunyan, referee 1, blows his whistle, and we are underway here, the semifinal at 8:08 Pacific time. And then it's a middle attack by Jade Robertson. Manitoba trying to settle things down. Thunderbirds going to work and stepping over to the right side to score is Robertson, the pride of Delta BC.
There you go, always with the Delta references. Tim Robertson starting out strong. UBC showing that they can have the timing and the trickery, starting off with a fancy play to get that first point.
Inside this serve receive is Julie Arnold, the libero for Manitoba. There's Gray going to work, who we touched on, and yes, she just touches the line, sending that cross court to score for Manitoba's first point.
And this is what we saw Gray do all of yesterday. Really consistent. She doesn't seem to force anything. She just looks for the holes in the defense. Beautifully placed just past the attack line.
Now this is who I like to call the Empress of Tomorrow, because she's just in her first season, so what will we see in the years to come? But Rhea Surinks with an aggressive serve, one of the only spin servers in this tournament, although she gets caught though, as that goes back to the end line, and UBC will score. So just 1 serve for Surinks, who had 8 aces last night.
Well, that's the veteran, the 5th-year Bryn Payson, taking advantage of the rookie, perhaps catching her a little flat-footed on that one. Perfectly placed by Payson, who is extremely aggressive and a bigger part of the offense than you might have thought. The UBC captain instrumental in getting the team this far.
Thunderbird center in the front row, that is Kayla Oxend, as Payson gets this across. This attack will go off the hands, and it's a quick side out for Manitoba. And the Almonte picking up the kill.
And Almonte also has been excellent. She's really been the 3rd attack option behind Gray and Surinks. Also excellent serving, picking up a few aces in their last match.
Brianna Badowski now back to serve. 6 brown shirts out there for Manitoba. With the libero stepping off, here's Oxley, the back set. We've seen this before, and we'll see it again. Jade Robertson stepping around to hit out of the right side to score.
Well, the net defense nowhere to be found right now. Hitters are swinging away and giving the back row all that they can handle here. Both offenses clicking. Time for the defenses to respond.
Auckland will pick up the assist. The last time these two teams went to head-to-head, it was Izzy Robertshaw, who was the setter for UBC. This time, it's Auckland. And Auckland going to have to bump set this one. It's going to be a free ball for UBC. Gray will start things off. Bentley, it's a middle attack and scores for Manitoba. Eve Katojo picking up the kill.
And Bentley should be instrumental in this game. We saw her in the upset over Mount Royal just flying around the court. There were some issues with the serve reception for the Bisons, frankly, and she made up for so much. Absolutely instrumental. The Bisons really won by making fewer mistakes, and that's because she was covering up a lot of them.
The front row for the Bisons trying to get in the way of Ella Gray's serve. Gray sending this across. There's Elise Pettit picking up the kill from the left side. We have seen quick side outs on both sides. Both teams yet to get some momentum going.
But Elise Pettit is somebody who's going to be key for the UBC attack. Took on a bigger and bigger share of the offense as the game went on. Was the catalyst for them yesterday.
Just a reminder, you can get in touch with us at usportschampionship@gmail.com. Bentley. It's going to set the back row, and this time it's a block, though, as Surinks was coming out the back with the pipe, and UBC said no way, specifically Kara Kovacs.
Well, Surinks was deadly the last time these two teams played in this gym. She averaged over 20 kills per match. Unbelievable stuff from the rookie stepping up in the playoffs. You better believe the Thunderbirds are keyed in on her.
Set her back to the one position. That's Auckland getting the ball across. Bentley down to a knee to make the set. Now the second ball's going to have to come from somebody else. No, the second ball's not even going to come. Manitoba can't recover. And now, as soon as I brought it up, we're starting to see some momentum. This for the home side, the UBC Thunderbirds. And there we go. The first timeout taken. This by Coach Ken Bentley.
And we'll see, Tim, what big of a factor the crowd is in this game. They were absurdly loud yesterday in the very dramatic win over Brock. I heard UBC communications person tell me that they haven't heard War Memorial Gym that loud in 10 years. I believe it. Truly one of the louder sporting events I've been lucky enough to be a part of. And it looks like the fans are back. The buckets are back. We've got Crazy P here in attendance, a Vancouver legend, pumping up the crowd. And it's going to be difficult for the Bisons here as they are going to have to block out that noise somehow.
Now there is a small contingent as well for Bisons fans just looking over. They've all got the yellow shirts on. They've got some drums, some Vikings maybe. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe they're dressed up like Bisons. But regardless, we've got a couple of characters over there also making the trip. You can see the noisemakers for UBC. And here we are at War Memorial Gym. And Toby, we're buddies here. I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think the capacity of War Memorial Gym is? Now, we have not hit that tonight, but it is still rather full. What do you think capacity is for this venue built back in the 1950s?
Now, broadcasters famously not math people for the most part. I would count myself among them. Let's go. 1, 2. I'm out of fingers and toes, but I'm going to guess. What do you think? 1,000?
1,000, no, double that. 2,100 actually when you fill all of the seats, because it does go up on 3 sides, this gymnasium. War Memorial Gym hosting the 2023 U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship, and this is the second semifinal on this Saturday. Auckland getting us back underway after that Bison's timeout. Stepping around, and it's a rejection. Katojo couldn't get through.
Wow, and you wonder what an effect that has. The Bisons clearly had the play set out of the timeout there, and yet UBC was all over it. There was nowhere to go. Looked like the Thunderbirds anticipated the step there. Very nicely played by UBC.
Substitution for Manitoba, just 1 point after that timeout. So Emma Benson will step onto the floor. This is a defensive substitution. She's in the back. And this left side swing will drop in. Andy Almonte getting the side out for Manitoba. So it took a substitution, it took a timeout, but finally they've got the ball for the serve.
And Almonte, always very impressive, the extension that she has, reaching back, getting on top of that ball. Nice topspin. And again, she had 3 aces yesterday, so a very dangerous server as well.
Almonte from Winnipeg in her second season. This ball will be passed up dangerously close to the net. Auckland trying to stay off, but will make a double contact. Sorry, I thought she might have been on the net there, but double contact called. Nonetheless, it will be a Bison's point.
Well, Bisons will take that. They certainly need it. Need a bit of a run here as to quiet this crowd.
Well, back-to-back points for Manitoba. Let's see if this can continue. Casey Jost in the serve receive, and she will play this ball to Auckland. Going over to Pettit, who hits it cross-court to score after Benson, who just served in moments ago, dives over to her left, but couldn't get it.
Yeah, Pettit there really had plenty of space, a big gap there between the two blockers. Even though it was a solid serve, UBC though so quick to get their offense going, Bisons really didn't have time to reset themselves defensively.
Here's Elise Pettit in her 5th and final season, one of the graduating players for UBC. There are no graduating players for Manitoba. That's a big difference. We were talking about Trinity Western earlier on with 6 graduating players. UBC with 5 grads moving on. Manitoba can have the same team going forward. And of course, Rhea Surinks, a big part of that just in her rookie season, and so dominant with more than 20 kills last night and 8 aces. And Surinks in the front row right now, but it's going to be a middle attack. Back onto the UBC side. Jost going over to Vermette. This is going to go off the block. A little bit of a scramble. It's going over, turning into backyard volleyball. Let's see if we can settle things down. Vermette going down the line to score. Is diving over to her right was Katojo. Vermette with the last laugh.
Well, Vermette getting plenty of playing time, plenty of opportunities there, though with the depth on this Thunderbird side. If she isn't showing it, there are plenty of other options, but she comes out so strong there. If Vermette is taking it to the Bisons, it might be a long night here. One of many weapons for the Thunderbirds.
Middles rotating front to back on the Thunderbird side. That was Kovacs who just put the ball in play. Here's Surinks. Nice spin on that, but goes 3 feet too far on the delivery.
Well, Surinks is not going to have anything come easy to her tonight. She may have to go against double blocks the entire time, but she is so talented that she was able to will herself to being very effective despite the similar attention from the Cougars yesterday.
4-player serve receive for Manitoba. This goes to the libero, Arnold. It's going to be adjusted. The net. Bentley's going to have this go back on the Manitoba side. Now Thunderbirds able to go to work here. And it's Vermette. Vermette going off this. And looks like, Toby, a couple of messages coming into our email, usportschampionship@gmail.com.
That's right. Fans from both sides here chiming in. We've got Hubert Dwayne saying, "Go Manitoba Bisons," cheering on from Ottawa. James Brock cheering on UBC from Caldwell, Idaho.
There we go. Idaho, Ottawa. It's going to be a middle attack. Jade Robertson, the 5th year, one of 5 graduating players on the Thunderbirds, picking up the kill.
UBC here looked like they'd open the door for Manitoba to get back in this one, but holding them still at arm's length, not allowing those runs.
By the way, Ella Gray has returned to the floor for Manitoba. She'll pass this ball. Surinks will take this from well outside of the court. And Almonte passes this over to Jost. Stepping around once again, hoping for some hands, and this is going to go out, however. Jade Robertson couldn't find hands. Point Manitoba.
Just a slight bit off on the timing there, but it really didn't look like the Bisons were well prepared to defend that one. So if they execute it, the step around is still open for the Thunderbirds.
Now here we go. I hyped her up last time. Let's see what she can do from behind the service line. This is Rhea Surinks. Spin serve. Handled well, though, as they're able to run in system. Thunderbirds going to work the dig by Surinks. And now she'll come out of the back. All Surinks all the time. An aggressive serve and then a pipe ball to finish it.
Surinks can be so dangerous from the front row, from the back row, from the service line, and we've seen all of it already here early on. We saw Mount Royal giving her so much attention in the back row that those weren't even open. You see if UBC starts giving her that superstar treatment as well.
5 players in the serve receive for UBC. Backing up is Auxland. It'll be a back row attack by Vermette, dug up. Arnold with his second ball, going over to Gray, going off of the hands, and then diving forward was Jost. But Gray and the Bisons will score the point.
Ella Gray there, hadn't heard too much from her since early on, but she comes up in another big spot, very efficient, and brings her team to within 1.
3 straight points for Manitoba, and now a couple of substitutions for UBC. Lucy Borowski out there on the floor. Izzy Robertshaw as well.
And the Thunderbirds will do this. They'll mix in players for brief stints. Robertshaw, despite being in her first year, playing plenty of big moments for the Thunderbirds.
Robertshaw in as the setter. We talked about her briefly before. Here's Bentley. Stays off of the net. It's a middle attack. UBC able to send it across shallow. Here's Bentley. Back set. Gray going to work down the line. Jost clapping her hands in frustration. She gets caught there. An aggressive swing by Gray that catches the libero.
and she sold that with her whole body. You looked at her hips, you looked at her shoulders, she was squared up to go cross court. I don't know how she hit that down the line with the zip that she did. Caught everyone by surprise, including the best libero in Western Canada. Rare miscue there for Joes, and we have a brand new set.
And we have a timeout called by UBC. Yes, momentum has shifted as we are tied at 11-all, a 4-point run by Manitoba. My name is Tim James, Toby Kerr with the color commentary here tonight. Toby, a commentator in Canada West, also OUA experience, and also a master of sports psychology, I'd like to say. He's the smart guy of us, too. So if you have a question for Toby, whether it be about sports psychology or, more importantly, this match, send us a message, usportschampionship@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with myself, Tim James Plus, on Twitter and Instagram. This is that rematch of what we saw in February, where Manitoba came into War Memorial Gym, although this time Manitoba a little more well-traveled as we've seen fans make the trip, and a good contingent here and well dressed up. It was a victory for Manitoba over Mount Royal. That was a team coming from Calgary, of course, that was very well traveled, and then seeing the emotion as well last night when Manitoba picked up the victory in Mount Royal. There were tears, there was sadness, the hearts were broken. But I was amazed, Toby, earlier on today, Manitoba taking the court and then fighting and moving on in the consolation final. They were definitely a team that came to play.
Oh yes, Mount Royal winning in dramatic fashion over Brock, and it was amazing how the fans seemed to treat it as though it was the semifinal consolation or not. Huge moment for them, and they will get to play one more on Sunday.
This is going to be a middle attack. Robertson picking up the kill for UBC. So after that timeout call by Doug Reimer in his 26th season, by the way, it is UBC that scores first.
With plenty of experience on both of these sidelines. Reimer with 9 national championships, 8 for the Thunderbirds.
Ken Bentley, 35th season. He's also got his daughter out there as the setter. This is going to be a net violation. There was a little bit of a delay there as we were looking at referee 1, Ryan Bunyan, to make a call, and finally looks down at Andrew Robb, referee 2, and we get the decision. Podolsky to serve. And she will go 2 feet too far.
Well, just off there as both teams still looking for their first ace early on. We saw that be a big part of the Bison's game. Certainly outserved the Cougars, and it's such a close game. May well have been the difference and the reason that they're here.
Here's Robertson, who has 4 kills tonight. And you can add a service error as well. Well, beautiful. Sorry, go ahead, Toby.
Well, both of these teams have fairly similar numbers, as the 13-13 score might suggest, but UBC has been much more efficient in their attack so far. Ella Gray, absurdly efficient. She's been actually perfect for the Bisons. The rest of the team, though, if they can pick up that efficiency, Manitoba will be in good shape.
Yeah, 3 kills on 3 attacks for Gray, but let's talk about defense. That's Almonte getting in the way of that one for Manitoba.
Nice one-on-one block there for Almonte, undersized in that matchup, but squared that thing up perfectly.
So Gray will continue to serve, and momentum perhaps shifting again now in the direction of Manitoba. The setter for the Bisons in the front row, that is Bentley. Robert Shaw going over to Pettit, goes over top of the block, picked up. Now out of the back is Surinks, and she will go 3 feet too far. We were talking about Surinks for many reasons last night. So impressive in that victory over Mount Royal, but we've touched on it before that she wasn't perfect, that she did make some errors. Now, also to be said, she did see a lot of volume, but she wasn't perfect. Imagine if she was.
Well, I mean, she's been near perfect through the entire Canada West playoffs as well. And I'm not even sure that it was as many errors as it was smothering defensive attention that she overcame in large part, particularly in that 5th set. She stepped up huge, gave Manitoba a lead that they held on to, ultimately getting them here.
Oxlin back in as the setter, but setting up the middle, and it's a rejection from Katojo. So the Bisons with something to cheer about here at War Memorial Gym.
Well, you wonder, you saw the step play a couple of times early on for UBC. Their rotation right now should make it, well, a little difficult to facilitate, but it looks like the Bisons are reading the UBC offense as quickly as the Thunderbirds.
Oxlin. Here's Vermette. She's able to work that through. 2 blockers up, including Bentley, one of the shorter setters out there. But it's a left side kill for UBC and another substitution. This one will send Pettit off, and coming in, it's a service substitution, Trinity Solecki.
And this is usually the situation that we see Solecki, the third year from Cochrane, Alberta.
Not too far from Calgary. Solecki. The defense was backing up, but a good decision by Almonte to let that sail past her. And so Pettit will come back in. Solecki, smile on her face, knowing it wasn't long. So Pettit will set up in his serve receive. All eyes now on Katojo. So the middle's rotating front to back for the Bisons. It is a 1-point lead for Manitoba in this opening set. Oxlin going to set the right side. The timing was a bit off for Vermette. Here's Sorenks, an aggressive swing going cross court from the left side to score.
Yeah, Sorenks doing a really good job. She was given a little more space on that one and just went across perfectly. Jost had to dive awkwardly, really had very little chance on this one. The things getting through, the hits getting through the front row have been near impossible for the UBC libero early on. She's shown a little frustration, understandably.
Jost. There's the tip going down the line, now picked up Bentley. Over to Sorenks, off the block, back over to Sorenks. Here's Bentley, she's going to go for the dump. Jost in the perfect position to take that as the libero. Now it's a cross-court swing by Vermette, and UBC will get it with the last touch off of Manitoba.
That's going to hurt for Bentley. You've got to be so judicious as a setter as far as deciding when to take your spots, and I think she just might not have seen Jost out of the corner of her eye. The dump off, as we see on the replay there, right to her essentially, or perhaps that's Jost just knowing her opponent that much better.
This serve catching the serve receive off. It's going to be an ace. Kira Kovacs going back and picking up the point for UBC. Every point valuable now, as we have seen the teams exchange points, and also each team with one timeout taken so far.
First ace of the night for either team. Kovacs, who has at times been a huge part of this Thunderbird squad, playing sparingly here in the national championships, making an impact though.
Sorenks going cross court, and she has been effective there from the left side early on.
Yeah, the ball, the way it comes off her hand, it just jumps, the natural spin, the ease with which she swings through. As we take another look here, she just has such a long but easy looking swing, and her timing was spectacular there.
Oxland on the move. Payson into the block. The coverage was there only briefly as Robertson caught a piece of it. 2 blockers up for the Bisons, and a big point to put them ahead now by 2 as we go to the late stages of this first set.
That point really set up by an unusually poor serve receive there from UBC. Turned what could have been a pretty easy offensive piece into a predictable one for the Bisons.
Bentley, the center, was sending it deep, picked up by Jost. Vermette cross court, taking out the center, so Arnold will set this over to Gray. Jost with a free ball, pushing Almonte back. Bentley going over to Sorenks. Works it through the block. The Thunderbirds to the attack. Vermette is going to be rejected. Going up there, Sorenks alongside Badowski. Point for Manitoba. Momentum shifting again, and then Doug Reimer still has 1 timeout remaining should he need it.
Well, the good news for UBC is they finally stopped Ella Gray from getting a kill on her attack. The bad news is they couldn't get through a wall of Bisons, as yes, indeed, you called it. Doug Reimer waiting a little bit, considering, and he will take that timeout. His team had the lead for most of the set, now trailing by 3.
Yeah, what a tale of this opening set, Toby, because it was a 6-3 advantage for UBC early on. They got off to a good start. They had the home crowd going, and then momentum starting to shift. It was 11-11 with Manitoba going on a run. Eventually, Doug Reimer said, all right, I'll use my first timeout. And now here with a 3-point advantage for Manitoba, Doug Reimer has used his second timeout.
Well, I'll tell you what's happened, Tim, is UBC's offensive efficiency has taken an absolute nosedive here. They're down to hitting 129 on the set so far, hovering around 300 for the first half of it. So it's been a real famine here for the UBC attack. You wonder if they try to maybe go to the middle, often a security blanket. I'm a former middle, I'm deeply biased, but I think you should always feed the middle a little more, whether that's through a step play, a quick set. you've got to maybe give Manitoba a bit of a different look because the blockers look well prepared for what UBC is throwing at them.
Well, former middle as well, so it was interesting to see in the earlier match that you and I were calling, Trinity Western moving on with their middles really standing out. You had Kaylee Plouffe, who was running quite consistently out of the middle, high efficiency, but then you had Michaela Clay as the other middle, and by the way, she will be playing in that gold medal match tomorrow. She was hitting quite often out of the right side, and the Spartans would go to it again, and again, and they defeated Dalhousie in straight sets, thanks in part to that effort from the middle attack.
That's like what the great teams do. They almost found something that worked and just hammered it until the opponents showed that they could stop it, which didn't happen too much for Dal, and we'll see whether UBC can find some similar strategy here.
Bentley sending it deep, and here's Payson going to work, and she will be off the mark. So the first point out of the timeout going to Manitoba. No more timeouts, but we do have some substitutions. That is the option. Akash Greywall stepping onto the floor for UBC in place of Payson.
Yeah, Gruel, a young player who comes in big situations quite often, and for Payson as well in the back row. This is often where she has the opportunity to shine, but she's not afraid to swing away for someone who's coming in onto the back row.
Passing substitution. Bentley with the noise picking up here at UBC. Similar crowd to last night. Oxland. Greywall coming through, not wasting any time. Then the middle attack is blocked. Everything is going right for Manitoba. Greywall with a good effort from the left side, but it's the block getting in the way for the Bisons.
Yeah, Manitoba's still reading it very well. I mean, UBC did have different personnel, but sort of did the same type of offense that they were running, as they're going to make another personnel change. Casarini coming in now.
We saw Casarini last night as well.
She gives them a different element, because one thing about the Thunderbirds, they can be undersized at the middle. They really have a lot of players built more like outside hitters. Casarini is certainly a true middle, and she's working her way back from an injury and has played sparingly as a result, but she can be very effective in spurts and really helped turn the tide against Brock yesterday.
There's Joes taking the second ball. Greywall going to work once again. Diving back is Almonte, and then Surnix would really need to crank that one. She doesn't. So there is the side out UBC has been waiting for, and finally the setter for Manitoba. Bentley will no longer be serving.
And this set clearly going to be decided by UBC's depth one way or another. Again, they did this yesterday, which almost looks like desperation putting in so many bench players this early, but it's proven effective before.
Surnix. Maybe UBC can go on a run here. Back-to-back points. Here's Vermette. Setter in the front row for UBC. Setter in the back for Manitoba. So Bentley is behind the 3-meter line right now, waiting to run to the net. It'll be a 5-player serve receive for Manitoba. Bentley, back set. Over to Surnix, sitting out of the right side. Greywall, she has been busy getting volume with the spin serve going over, or rather the spin attack going over top of the block, but it's Manitoba who converts from the left side. That is Gray.
Who else but Ella Gray, who's just been so solid. You do have to keep feeding Surnix. She is clearly going to be the key to this game for Manitoba. And yet, if you need a point, no one is more likely to execute and attack well right now than Ella Gray.
Here's Surnix, spin serve you can expect. It's a tough one, picked up by Jost. Oxland diving down to the ground. Greywall going to work and sends this into the 6 to score. A big side out, only one serve for Surnix. UBC needed that as they try to fight back in this opening set.
Yeah, the offensive spark off the bench from Gruel, who's going to get the chance to serve right now, cannot be understated. She is so fired up to come in cold as somebody who really didn't play a ton there in that the quarterfinal matchup and the win. She is coming out red hot, no rust.
As Greywall was just preparing, she bounced the ball off of her foot. I wonder if that would throw off her serve, but still gets the ball across. Let's see if she can serve again. Thunderbirds going to the attack. Pettit going into the tape or the hands. And now Vermette rolling over here. Manitoba going to the attack inside the system. Gray with one blocker up. Goes cross court. She's able to get that over as Casarini did not close the block.
Gray once again just so incredibly consistent. Looked like that point might have been dead earlier on. Wasn't quite sure whether that one got over the net from UBC. The result, though, the same. Manitoba, a chance to win a crucial first set.
Set point, 24, serving 20. Here's Podolsky. Oxland will be tight, staying off of the net. Pettit, cross court, Bentley on the move for the finish. Here's Almonte tipping over top of the block. Oxland, Cosarini trying to get involved, doesn't catch any hands, sends this directly out. So it's an attack error to finish things off for the UBC Thunderbirds. But Toby, I think we're having fun on this Saturday night. We've seen these teams go out at the lead exchange in the opening set. This is for a berth, or rather a spot, in the National Championship tomorrow night. Who will it be? It's the Bisons and the Thunderbirds. You are watching U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship presented by Mikasa. Welcome back to War Memorial Gym. It is 8:36 on this Saturday night. 10:36 if you're watching in Winnipeg, as we have fans watching from around the world right now on CBC Sports. Thank you so much for joining us, and Toby, a few messages coming in as well.
That's right. Well, Crazy P, the local sports legend, gets the hometown local fans here pumped up. Plenty of Bisons fans pumping themselves up at home, including Tom Halleck, watching and cheering on the Bisons on his 40-inch TV. Send us a nice picture as well. And another international viewer. We've got an aloha from Hawaii. Let's go Bisons from Darren and Donna.
There we go. So the team's about to break the huddle here after that first set in which the Bisons weren't able to take it over UBC. Now the Bisons hitting 22% in that opening set. The efficiency for UBC not quite as good at 7%.
Yes, and they actually started fairly strong in that department. I'm fairly sure they were in the negatives attacking-wise for the latter half of that set. It's certainly uncharacteristic, not something you would expect to be sustained. However, I don't think it was UBC necessarily making a ton of unforced errors. The Bison's front row seemed to just be keyed in on whatever the Thunderbirds were going to do. Blockers were beating the hitters to the spots very often. This looked like a team Manitoba that's done their homework and knows who they're going up against against the hometown side.
You can see the Manitoba Bisons getting set here. Casey Jost getting set to take the floor. The front row for Manitoba to start this one off will include Ella Gray. She's up to 5 kills tonight, so lead the match in that category. No attacking errors either, so Gray hitting a fine 83% right now through 6 attacks. So she will be up in the front.
The one that was unsuccessful, too, was quite a scrambly play by UBC that ended up being a free ball, and Manitoba got the point. So doing all the great things is Ellie Gray.
All right, the noise picking up here at War Memorial Gym. Second set getting underway with Bentley, the setter, sending it deep. Here's Pettit with 2 blockers going cross court to Arnold. Bentley, the bump set. Surinks repositions and still makes a fine attack from well outside of the court. Now a left side swing for Pettit, and she will go off the block and score. So a good effort by Manitoba, but it's UBC scoring first.
Well, surprisingly enough for the Thunderbirds, it was Erica Vermette attacking the most for them. Certainly might not have expected that coming in, and she had some success with 3 kills. Elise Pettit, though, usually the one leading the way. She did yesterday, and I would expect her to at this point going forward for the Thunderbirds.
The setter picking up the ace. That is Oxland scoring for UBC. Back-to-back points to start out this one.
Huge one there for Oxland. The 3rd ace already here for UBC. She was given a brief rest there in set number 1. We'll see if the extra energy helps her out in set number 2.
Yes, we did see Izzy Robertshaw come in for a few points. Here's Gray with the first pass. And it's a middle attack and a quick side out with Brianna Badowski scoring for Manitoba.
And Badowski can flash once in a while. She's made a nice dig earlier, solo block, couple of block assists, and there she goes with her second kill.
Rhea Surinks now to serve for Manitoba. No aces tonight. Yes, she had 8 last night. Spin serve going off of the tape. Picked up though by Jost. Pettit looking for the side out. This is going to go off the net, and yes, they will get the side out. So Surinks, we have not seen go on a serving run tonight. Again, we don't see that spin serve by too many players here in this final 8, but she's unable to go on that run.
Yeah, really big by Pettit. Not surprising they're going to her in that spot, but she executes once again, gets the ball out of Surinks' hands.
Bentley with one hand keeping it off the net, and Gray going aggressively down the line. Jost with a great defensive play. In system, Bentley going over to the right side, a block going up, Surinks able to do something with it. Now Monty still makes an impressive attack. That's a couple of times Manitoba has been able to make an impressive attack out of a broken down play, and it will be a Bison's point. Double contact called against UBC, and we can all catch our breath.
Yeah, what a swing by Almonte. That is one of those where it really doesn't look possible. We'll take another look at that. It was behind her. She had to twist her entire body around. It almost seemed foolish to swing that hard from that position, but she got a ton of mustard on it and is ultimately rewarded.
Now, you wouldn't see that in the rec league that we play. My goodness, what an effort. Oxlin. And with the back set, and this is going to go off the block. Vermette is rejected. Almonte, part of that double block going up for Manitoba.
Yes, that front row there for the Bisons coming up huge once again. Almonte always giving up size, but she's certainly game to challenge anything at the net.
We are tied 3-all early in this second set. The Bisons picking up the victory. In the first, it's going to be an ace as this one drops in kind of unsuspecting, and they didn't move to it. That was playable.
Brenna Badowski picking up the first ace for the Bisons. It was such a big part in the separation from the Cougars yesterday. See if this is just the beginning for Manitoba.
Jost is in the serve receive. She had 20 digs in last night's match to lead the match in that category. That was the UBC win in 4 sets over Brock. Going down the line, the Birds will score.
That felt like a big point. It always feels like a bigger point for UBC when the captain, Bryn Payson, brings it home. She does such a good job going down the line and didn't telegraph it at all. Really kind of came at it with an angle and turned at the last second. No chance there for Manitoba.
Payson in the front row right now. Oxlin, the setter, is in the back for UBC. But this will go into the net off the hand of Kara Kovacs. So this sets up Gray to put the ball in play.
Well, Kovacs came in to serve in the last set, and she's managed to hold her position. She does have an ace. That's a tough miss for her, but Kovacs, as mentioned, has played a ton this year, often as a bit of an undersized middle, but a really good hitter when she's on.
Ella Gray with 5 kills so far tonight. Sends this ball over. Oxlin going over to her left side, and this is going to land in. It goes just past the left shoulder of Almonte and scores.
I must have just skimmed the line, but you can see the UBC men's team there awfully happy about it. Out here cheering on the women's squad, some solidarity amongst the UBC teams.
The Home Depot buckets looking fancy over there, well dressed, different faces on their shirts. Bentley going to work, back set. It's a step around, but dug up in the back by Pettit. Vermette tipping this over. Bentley, now a back row attack, an aggressive one by Surinks is rejected. And screaming in the front row to celebrate is Jade Robertson.
Wow, this just shows how well the Thunderbirds know Manitoba. They really didn't back off the net at all over Surinks. There are 2 blockers, and I believe it was Payson once again coming up with the block herself.
Here's Vermette going to Gray. The pass to Bentley, down to her knees to play this one. Almonte looking to go down the line, picked up by Pettit in the back. Oxlin over to Payson, tipping this one into a soft spot. The defense will collapse.
Bryn Payson is on fire. She's doing everything right now for the Thunderbirds. She's often somebody who's best known for her serve and her leadership, and yet she's been so involved on both sides of the ball, both yesterday and today so far for UBC.
Still leading the way, though, for UBC in kills is Pettit, as well as Robertson, and UBC will pick up the point.
First time here, Manitoba has been trailing significantly, and yes, no surprise to see Coach Bentley call the timeout there. We've seen throughout the tournament here, he's been unafraid to call quick timeouts. That's what plenty of experience will do. Coach 35-plus seasons over there. It's tough to really say what Manitoba needs to adjust here because it really just seems like UBC is executing at a slightly higher level. The Bisons, though, playing fairly well, and their calling card so far this tournament seems to be relatively mistake-free volleyball, and that's really what they've done for most of the evening.
You know, one of those players that we could see more of is Rhea Suring. So, again, she's hitting in the negatives right now. This is kind of unsuspected with 3 kills, 4 errors on 11 attacks. So maybe one thing that could start to go the Bison's way if we start to see the Rookie of the Year get involved and find some success. So this timeout is a similar script to what we saw in the opening set, where it was a 3-point difference with Manitoba behind. And that's when Coach Ken Bentley called the timeout at 6-3. Here we are at 8-5 for UBC, and the first timeout used by Coach Ken Bentley. Tim James alongside Toby Kerr. Hope you are enjoying this broadcast on CBC presented by Mikasa. Excited for tomorrow. 3 matchups on the schedule, including the consolation final, as well as the bronze and the gold medal match. Who will be playing, the Bisons or the Thunderbirds?
How much fun are these tournaments? Just a jam-packed weekend full of volleyball. It's been phenomenal so far. Doesn't seem to matter if it's a consolation or if you're on the way to the gold. Every team is absolutely bringing it, the best in the country, all under one roof.
Arnold misplays this one. Almonte back inside Manitoba territory and sending it shallow with Surings. Oxlade with a fake in the middle. The block can't close up. Fighting on that fake was Eve Katojo.
It's the Bryn Payson show right now. Why not just keep feeding her? One of the 6 graduating seniors here for UBC. It's going to be one of her final games as a Thunderbird, and she is leaving it all out there.
Light Uchachukwu coming on. We'll get ready to pass as she sets up in the serve receive in place of Almonte. Uchachukwu, will she be tested? No, this ball is instead going to go into a gap between Arnold and Gray.
Big serve there for Vermette. And now suddenly the home team has doubled up the visitors at this point, 10-5.
Yes, back-to-back points out of that timeout call by head coach Ken Bentley. And Bentley standing up right now on the sidelines, and so there we go. UBC with a serve error will allow Manitoba to rotate, and a substitution with Uchachukwu coming out, and Almonte will return to the floor. This will technically be a service substitution, but just returning to one of the starting players, Almonte. Almonte hitting a clean 0% with 2 kills and 2 errors so far tonight. Oxlade stepping around and scoring, getting the side out is Robertson.
And that's how we saw UBC start the game. Maybe they put that in the Bison's heads a little bit. Hadn't seen it for quite a while. Took a set and a half off before going back to Robertson. Her timing is so good on that, and she manages to get a ton of zip despite launching off of 1 foot and falling to the side as she hammers that one.
Here is Bryn Payson. Almost picking up the ace, but Bentley was diving to keep the ball alive after 3 contacts. Going to work is Oxlade, the setter, with the kill.
Oh, there's nothing that's going to fire a crowd up than a setter stealing an unexpected kill. That was no dump off, that was no tip, that was no desperation play. That was a player getting up there and hammering that ball, causing another timeout. Clearly the momentum on UBC's side now. You just need to listen to the crowd for half a second to gather that. And very early on, Manitoba sensing that it's time to use that second timeout, or this thing could slip away despite it being only 12-6.
After that previous timeout, UBC is on a 4-1 run. So let's see if the momentum can continue. And yes, Bentley does not have any more timeouts to take for Manitoba. The Bisons leading 1-0. You can stay connected with us. usportschampionship@gmail.com. We've got another message in, and this from not too far away from Vancouver.
That's right. You think many of the UBC fans likely in attendance here. However, the Thunderbirds Nation stretches well across the Lower Mainland and beyond, including to Langley, where Daisy Wong is watching, cheering on the Thunderbirds from Langley, BC.
And I can imagine there are quite a few fans. Just looking across, Toby, I can see TWU on a sweatshirt. And I imagine there are a few Spartans fans that decided to stick around after that Spartans victory earlier on in the first semifinal. And they have stuck around to see who will they be playing tomorrow.
I had the pleasure of calling the regular season game between UBC and TWU. It went 5 sets. It was a fantastic volleyball game. If that is the final, though, between the two local rivals, I can't even imagine what this gym's going to be like.
Could there be 2,100 fans, the capacity here at War Memorial? Tipping over top of the block was Surinks. And this is going to go out as Pettit watches that one. So no more timeouts for Bentley. And the first point out of that second timeout goes to UBC.
Yeah, Pettit there looking like a ballerina, spinning out of the way, giving the little olé, letting that ball go by. Well judged and well executed.
Payson. Bentley keeping it off the net, although this is going to be blown down and awarded to UBC with a double contact called as Bentley was put in an awkward position.
Very rare miscue from her. She's really been quietly heroic, I think, for Manitoba. Flying all over the floor, giving up her body at will.
Katrina Bentley at 5'5", up against Kayla Oxland at 5'8". Bentley down to a knee to play this one. Surinks going to work and finds the spot, hitting it cross court. And Surinks, one of those players, Toby, I think we've talked a bit about this, not much of a celebration. I mean, you watch Mount Royal, for example, there is emotion with that team. Manitoba, a little more calm, cool, and collected. That's the style. That's the word you like to use to describe that.
Yes, so this is about emotional regulation. If I can put my sports psychology hat on for a second, I'll get back to that in a moment.
Here's Oxland. Sent from the 3-meter line. It's a back row attack, and Vermette will score for UBC.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it. As far as we looked at Mount Royal, everybody's up, screaming, yelling, a miss, a kill, whatever it may be. Manitoba, very stoic. We saw a great contrast in styles yesterday. Some players play at their best when they're calm and collected. Some play best when they're really up. It's about knowing yourself, playing to the strength. Surinks, somebody who likes to keep things cool, and you can't really tell whether she's happy, sad, rattled, or excited.
Well, I don't know who that ball was aimed for. It looked like potentially being intended to set over to the left side, but UBC is going to capitalize with Pettit coming through. And Toby, we have seen the momentum change with the Bisons earning that first set. I'm starting to think, okay, will Manitoba go on? Will the magic continue? Because they have pulled off some upset victories, and this is no easy one here, but UBC now really coming back here in the second.
They certainly are imposing their will right now, but everything's going wrong for Manitoba at the same time.
Bentley down to her knees, passes this one up. Surinks working it off the block. So even with the setter down to make a tough ball, the bump set, Surinks is able to make it work, and there you go. Again, you don't see much of a celebration. She's back and she's focused, ready to go for this Manitoba serve.
Very businesslike right there, but a heck of a point for Manitoba and what looked like another broken play, willing that through two blockers.
Katrina Bentley was 11 assists tonight. Bentley goes down. Here's Surinks from the 3-meter line, 3 feet too far. No touch.
Didn't really have a chance to step into that one. Kind of caught her flat-footed with the set being a little far off the net. And she had been red hot, but tried to do just a bit too much with that one.
So we just mentioned Bentley with 11 assists so far tonight. Oxland leading the way in that category. She's back to serve with 19 assists. Will she hit number 20 here? Here's Gray going to work. That rock coming back in her face. The home fans with something to celebrate with Vermette getting up there alongside Kovacs.
Yeah, Erica Vermette doing something nobody has done to this point, well, almost through the entire tournament, but not so far tonight, which is really squarely blocking Ella Gray.
A statement with that ball coming back. Let's see how the Bisons respond. Arnold going over to Gray. Tipping it over top of the block. Taking out the setter, though, so the second ball from Jost out of system. Manitoba also to run out of system. Gray hitting it off the block. Picked up, though, by Surinks. It was a nice defensive play. Surinks keeps it alive. And Gray sending this over deep. Jost going to Oxland for the finish. Vermette dug up, though, by Bentley. Second ball again, not from the setter for Manitoba. They can't get things going here. Oxland over to Pettit, hitting across court. Nice defensive play. Here's Gray tipping it over top of the block, and then Oxland taken out. Jost with the extended rally continuing. Vermette going over top of the block. Arnold. Now Bentley, big push over to Gray. She's away from the net and hits this one out.
Well, that is the best point we've seen so far tonight, Tim. Oh my goodness, was that fun. Bodies flying all over the court. You know when you need those one-handed desperation swinging digs, and a couple of them pulled off too. That is just great volleyball, peak athleticism and improvisation.
And no more timeouts for Manitoba, but that's one of those times where we saw the great defense just staying alive somehow, keeping the rally going, and they couldn't score the point. It's Auckland back to serve once again, goes to Gray. Right side attack by Suring, she's rejected. This time it's Gray with the left side work. No. The coverage is there. Suring's able to make an attack. She goes off the block. The coverage there, though, and this is going to be, no, a Manitoba point. What did we have there, Toby? Initially, we had referee 1, Ryan Bunyan, issuing that to UBC.
Yeah, it looks like a net violation is ultimately going to be the call. It's going to go to UBC. We take another look. Yes, it does look like UBC player or two. I think Kovacs, and maybe even twice there, got on the net.
So this brings up Surings. This is where Manitoba could go on a run. Spin serve, tough one for Met though. Handles it well. Going to Auckland. Great, diving forward. It's going to be a free ball for UBC, but it will be the Bison scoring. A breakdown of the defense, but it looks like UBC shaking it off with a big smile on the face of Casey Jost, the libero.
Well, look, Tim, this is still a 9-point game, but look at the way Manitoba's playing right now. They've stayed alive on at least half a dozen points that looked absolutely over here. That's going to have an impact on the rest of this game, and they are showing that they won't go down without a fight, putting something in the mind of UBC. Nothing's coming easy.
Surings. Block going up. Bentley with a bump set over to Almonte. Bentley almost running into Gray. It's going to be a middle attack, and that's a good choice with the kill, Badowski.
Yeah, really good read there by Bentley. Badowski unblocked. I think that was just an excellent heads-up play. Don't think that was the plan in the initial set. Both players, though, saw it, took advantage, executed, and they pulled UBC to within 8.
So the points adding up. It's a run for Manitoba. Still some way to go. Nice spin serve, taking that to Auckland, the setter. But you know, just the way that UBC shakes it off, I'll let you put your sports psychology hat on. They don't seem fazed by this. Manitoba, if you're a fan of the Bisons, there's something to be excited about, but UBC kind of shrugging it off even after getting that ace scored on them.
Well, the best approach is to consider, controlling what you can control and accepting what you cannot. What you cannot control is the best rookie in Canada with a fantastic spinning serve that we really don't see too often in the women's game. If she's going to execute serves like that, well, you just got to try and do exactly what Coach Reimer is trying to do right now, which is ice her. We saw this actually used by Mount Royal quite often. I think they'd used about half their timeouts trying to ice Surinks, and sometimes did. It was somewhat effective, not always, but in the 5th set, actually, they did get the ball out of her hands, even though Manitoba ultimately did pick up the win.
4 straight points for the Bisons. And let's see what will come out of this timeout, this time called by UBC. The first timeout taken by Doug Reimer. Again, in his 26th season. Thunderbirds fans having some fun here at War Memorial Gym with more volleyball to come tomorrow. We did have some eliminations earlier on today, including McGill, and that was a team that I thought Trinity Western got the first victory on them over the quarterfinal, and then UCAM defeating them earlier on today. But McGill really traveled well. That was a team that was playing with some passion. Coming in as the 8th seed, it seemed like they thought they could do this. They came in very well, but they couldn't get the job done and have been eliminated.
Well, it's always a little more difficult when the team that eliminates you is a very familiar foe who they lost to in the RSCQ final as well. So they had that chance at least to get a little bit of revenge, but couldn't quite do it against UCAM. Still a very strong and spirited showing from the McGill squad.
I didn't expect Brock to get eliminated as well. The Ontario champions, the only Ontario team.
Tough tournament for Central Canada.
This is going to be a UBC point with a violation called against Manitoba. So that is it for Surinks serving. The timeout doesn't necessarily ice Surinks, but UBC will score first.
Certainly fortunate there for UBC. That was a bit of a rare miscue. Looked like it was Badowski who got called for it. Putting up the roof a little bit there.
Yep, over top of that set. Surinks mishandling this one outside of the court. Surinks still able to make an attack off of it. It's a decent one handled by Pettit. Auckland. Roll shot. Dug up in the back as Surinks was leaping over to her right. Almonte. Jost going hard into the chairs. And we'll keep an eye to see how she returns to her feet. An aggressive finish and a big smile on her face. So there you go, shaking that off.
She's all good. These are the moments where you leave it all out there. There is no thought of self-preservation from Casey Jost on that play. Not when you've got the potential U Sports Championship on the line.
Well, we saw Quinn Pelland last night as well, going hard aggressively into the wall and also into a teammate. She was bandaged up today earlier on, and it's an ace for Manitoba, this time not from Surinks, but from Badowski.
Well, I think every player here is maybe kicking things up to another level. Sometimes you do have to make the odd business decision to keep the wear and tear down over the course of the year, get to this point. Now we are at the point where you leave nothing out there.
Yeah, it's a little different than the rec league that we play in, always icing up. No, these players, they are back out there on the floor right away. Badowski. Oxland, big push. Now it's tracked in the middle with the finish is Kovacs.
Now there is Kara Kovacs, not trying to do too much with it. It's a party ball on that one, but instead of trying to bring down the big hammer, she just swats that thing down to some open court. Keep it easy, keep it simple.
Kovacs to serve for UBC, back to 6 white shirts out there as Jost will take a seat on the bench and perhaps relax a little after taking that bump into the steel chairs, almost like Monday Night Raw here. Left side attack, dug up in the back though, back on the Manitoba side. Then there's Gray going off of the block, and clapping her hands in frustration is Payson as Manitoba picks up the point.
Well, this is very reminiscent of one set that Manitoba had against Mount Royal also, where they were down double digits at one point and then just reeled the Cougars in, reeled them in, didn't quite catch them, but certainly proved themselves in that set and then ultimately pulled off the 5-set comeback, potentially somewhat as a result.
Payson will send this one out, no touch, so a point for Manitoba. So we're starting to see that momentum shift because earlier on was a 7-point lead when UBC called their first time out.
And Akash Gruel coming in now for the Thunderbirds for Payson, just like last set.
And they went to Graywell right away there, so let's see what happens with Oxland as the setter. Oxland, where will she go? Well, trying to keep it off of the net. That's first, and Jost going forward to keep the ball alive and send it over on third contact, but the finish for Manitoba with Katojo scoring for the visitors.
It is a 4-point game now, Tim. It feels like Manitoba, I mean, talking about resiliency here, they were down a seemingly insurmountable amount, and you just chip away. There's no time in volleyball, so if you can avoid making mistakes, you can ultimately overcome huge deficits.
Here's Gray. 2 feet too far on the serve. Point for UBC, drawing within 3 points of ending this second set, trying to tie this matchup at 1 set apiece. Here's Lucy Borowski, the sophomore from Vancouver, former player from the Vancouver Thunder. Borowski going to Gray, and she'll get the ace as that hops almost to the front row here at the War Memorial Gym.
Yeah, Gray usually a really good backcourt player in the back row. Built more like the front row player, but she's actually usually done quite a good job at 10 digs there at last match, but nonetheless, she will take a little bit of a rest here.
And we see the substitution, defensive substitution for Manitoba with Benson in for Gray. We've seen this before. Bentley, big push over to Almonte, hitting it cross court, and it's a good decision by the setter, Bentley, as she had to take that some distance, but Almonte with the finish.
Yeah, Almonte just seems to pop up at the most unexpected and most important times, and she's got a chance to really drag her team back in it here from the service line.
Oxland. There's Graywall. Surinks. Good swing. She was able to take some momentum and some force into that cross-court swing. So Manitoba within 4 points here. But again, no more timeouts for Coach Bentley.
One more remaining for Coach Reimer on the other side. We'll see how close Manitoba has to pull before he pulls the trigger. I suspect one more point might do that.
This one's going to go last touch off of Manitoba. Surinks is saying no way, but that is the call. So 1 point away from this one finishing up.
Must have been a very subtle touch, but the official in great position as we hear the crowd coming alive and a potential set point.
Oh, you love to see this, although you don't want to make too much noise with Graywall about to serve here. You don't want to throw off your server. But here we go. She gets the ball across. Almonte down to a knee to pick that up. Bentley, big push over to Surinks. Trying to score. Greywall with the dig. A little too much power, though. Here's Bentley in system. Going over to Surinks, goes off the block to score. The Bisons still alive here in the second.
Just muscling that through a double block. You kind of knew, I think everyone knew that ball was going over to Surinks. And nonetheless, the talent, the skill, and the elevation, she really gets up there to have a great angle, able to overcome.
The pressure now on Eve Katojo. Middles rotating front to back for the Bisons. Robert Shaw. That's tipped over, back on to the UBC side. Will this finish it off? Here's Pettit going off the hands. Bentley on the move. And Surinks had that a little too far, so she had to tip that over the block. Robert Shaw going over to the left side. This goes through. Here's Bentley. Bump set, Surinks. Can she keep things alive? No, goes into the net. That causes an eruption here at War Memorial Gym.
Wow, UBC evening things up at one set apiece, but plenty to like there from the Manitoba side. They were down double digits, seemingly way out of it, and managed to reach that 20-point barrier. That's significant. That's got to instill a lot of confidence that if they face any future deficits, they can certainly overcome it, even if they didn't come all the way back to win this one. At the same time, UBC a little bend but not break as they pick up a crucial second set on the home floor.
It is the Bisons and the Thunderbirds live from War Memorial Gym. You are watching U Sports Women's Volleyball, the National Championship, presented by Mikasa.
Get the stories behind the glory. Watch, listen, stream, read CBC Sports.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday night. My name is Tim James, Toby Kerr with the colored commentary. And Toby, I think any volleyball fans out there are having some fun because it is Manitoba and UBC tied at one set apiece after an exciting one there. Manitoba really doesn't want to back down. And what we did notice in that second set was UBC's attack really turning up compared to the first set, and also with a diversified portfolio, you could say, when it comes to their offense.
Yes, absolutely. Jade Robertson is leading the way with 6 kills, and yet you have 4 players with at least 4 kills for UBC. Very balanced. Pretty much anyone who's playing is attacking, and the efficiency just spiking there from under 100 on the attack percentage in the first set to 364. That's a healthy number that UBC will certainly like in set number 2.
Now going back to put this ball in play for UBC is Jade Robertson, one of 2 players from the great city of Delta. Toby, you said I would mention that, so yes, got to mention the hometown. Here she is, Robertson getting the ball across to get us underway, and you know what, we'll start off with an ace, why not? So far so good for the Thunderbirds and their fans, a good collection here of fans at War Memorial Gym.
Well, as well as being a diverse attack, we've got 5 different Thunderbirds with aces in this one. 6 overall, and from 5 different players. Robertson putting one up herself now.
Robertson going to Arnold, the libero. Bentley. It's it to Gray, and then using the block, Gray is able to score. A nice response from Manitoba. And again, we were talking about some of that stylistic approach to celebration or not. There was a big point. They were able to get the side out, but not too much celebration. They're focused very much a different team than, say, Mount Royal.
Yeah, keeping it level, knowing how they play their best, and the evidence proves that staying calm, staying cool, collected, that's what's doing it for them.
Here's Suring, spin serve. Tough one handled by Vermette. Oxland with a back set. 2 blockers up, but that's it for Suring serving as Kara Kovacs scores from the right side.
Yeah, Kovacs getting a chance to play a whole lot, but they haven't fed her too often. Only 5 attacks so far. That is her 2nd kill.
And Kovacs in a discussion there with Coach Reimer. Not sure particularly what that was about, but Reimer was talking about the footwork. So Kovacs will get set up. She is in the front row. Setter still in the back for UBC. That was Oxland. Serving the ball over, the block going up, but this will go last touch off of UBC with Kovacs and Pettit, the 2 players going up.
Well, UBC did manage to stymie Ellie Gray relatively after an uber-efficient first set. She really struggled with the attack percentage despite having 17 total attempts in the second one. But there she is, maybe trying to mix up her approach there, using the blocks to her advantage for a couple of points.
Podolski 2 feet too far. So this will bring up UBC. We are 10 minutes past 9 o'clock Pacific time. 10 minutes past 11 if you were watching in Winnipeg. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, that email, we want to stay connected with you. It's usportschampionship@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram, Tim James Plus. Bentley with the middle set. Here's Oxland over to the left side. Just one blocker in the way of that one. She was able to go cross court. Pinkston was, but couldn't finish. Here's Vermette tipping it aggressively down the line and hitting the 4 aggressively to try to keep that one alive. Was Surinks, but it's going to be Manitoba, I believe, on the net.
Yeah, it looks like this one is going to go UBC's way. We are seeing some nice rallies here early in the 3rd set. A lot of quick points to begin the first couple, but now these 2 teams well in rhythm here.
Here's Pettit to the back, standing at 6'1", standing serve. Floats this one. It might have been going out, but Arnold still plays it. Onto the UBC side, and just goes out. Jost escorting that one out. So we will have UBC continuing to serve, up by 3 points.
Yeah, some tough serve reception there for Manitoba, which has been a little up and down throughout this tournament. Bentley can normally cover up any blemishes, but not there, as we see another quick timeout from Coach Bentley.
And this is what we've seen, Toby, early on throughout the night. In the first set, it was 6-3 when that first timeout was called. In the second set, 8-5, and now here, 5-2. So Coach Bentley, he's got a rhythm here, and this is what we've seen throughout. But Manitoba, we have seen come back. It's not like when those timeouts were called, that is over, because in that opening set, we saw Manitoba, of course, come back and take that opening set and then show some life there in the second as well.
Well, he's got a rhythm or perhaps a formula, because it seems the first 3-point deficit his team faces, he's calling a timeout. And a guy who's done this for approaching 40 seasons now, a little tough to question anything that he's done. He knows what works for him. He knows what works for his team. Ultimately there, using the 2 early timeouts, they didn't complete the full comeback, but they did pull themselves right back in it without having any timeouts later in the set. So perhaps he knows that this is the key to his team. They need to try and get an advantage, build a lead on UBC, which is something we haven't seen from Manitoba since early on in set number 1.
Now, when it comes to the UBC Thunderbirds, they have 5 graduating players, and it's a bit different for Manitoba with no grads. So Coach Bentley will be able to work with them for the years potentially to come, including Rhea Surinks, who I like to call the Empress of Tomorrow, because my goodness, she is already impressive in her first season. Right now, Surinks in the back, not in the serve receive though, the farthest back. Bentley. It's a right side attack by Gray, hoping for a touch, gives the motion, and yep, that's the way it will be called by referee 1, Ryan Bunyan.
Allie Gray responsible for all 3 points so far here for Manitoba. Expect to see more Surinks, expect to see more Almonte, but when we talked about the balance of UBC's attack, those 3 have 17+ attacks for Manitoba. No one else has more than 7, so they're feeding those big 3.
Gray will be charged with the service error. Tim James and Toby Kerr with you. Just want to reset. We are at War Memorial Gym. This is the 2023 U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship, and we couldn't do this without it being presented by Mikasa. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for joining us. Almonte. Here's Oxley with the free ball. Manitoba able to work their left side with a block going up. This goes off the block and out. An effective play on the left. And Almonte now rotates to the back.
They couldn't go to Gray there after the serve, so Almonte doing it herself. She seems to often pick up these points right before she serves. Again, 3 aces yesterday. Still looking for her first one this evening.
Almonte with 6 kills tonight. Goes to Pettit on the serve. Oxley with a back set. Almonte. And Arnold easily gets that over. Now UBC, can they capitalize? Right side attack, yes, Vermette will score. Side out for the Thunderbirds.
Big swing there from Vermette, who'd been very involved in the attack early on. Less so as the match is worn on, but she steps up in a big spot. And a chance to extend this lead, which has been holding at 3 here for the Thunderbirds.
Vermette with 5 kills tonight. Setting that deep, and you know what? Let's talk about an ace for Vermette. That's going to be her 3rd.
Leading the way for all UBC servers. 7 already as a team, though.
Yeah, Vermette with 3, Robertson with 1, Pettit, Oxley, Kovacs with 1 as well, and Borowski 2. There's Surinks going to Jost, the libero, wearing that blue jersey. This will be sent down the line by Payson, but it's going to go out.
And the captain in there for the Bisons, Uchechukwu, and she looked like she dove for it, maybe pulled back at the last minute there. Let that one go out. Saw her briefly sub in for set number 1. Not sure she got to play a ball. Often comes in off the bench here for Manitoba.
Uchechukwu in her 3rd season. She's in the back row. There's Katojo sending it across. And we've seen this play over and over tonight. Robertson this time going with the off speed, just tipping it over the block. So the Bisons have had time to prepare for that one, but it's still working for UBC.
Yeah, they're showing it as a regular part of the offense, but maybe just not quite enough for Manitoba to be making an adjustment and preparing, judiciously sprinkling in that play. Robertson so good on the step and reading where the defense is playing her.
Payson flipping the tape as it came across. And then Surinks with the finish. Again, no big celebration. Surinks right back to business. Side out for Manitoba, and this pushes their setter to the back row, Bentley.
Bit of a frustrating point there for the T-Birds. They did have a couple blockers there. Surinks couldn't really get too much zip on that one, and yet placed it well enough to weasel it through.
Again, that front row trying to block the server, who is Bentley, as they moved over to the far side of the court. Stepping around is Robertson, trying to keep this one alive, and the 3rd one, no. There was a chance there for Payson. But again, that step around we've seen so often, but this time ineffective.
A lot of give on that net there. A little tighter might have given them a little bit of a better chance, but same tautness for both teams. Not sure tautness is a word.
Here's Jost in the back row in the serve receive. And that's where the ball will go. Oxley insistent over to Pettit, who hit it hard to Arnold. Gray going off the block, and Podolsky was right there, but UBC will score.
And the Thunderbirds really sneakily needed that point, I think. The front row had been getting carved through a little bit. The back was really bailing them out on a number of swings. Blockers were getting to the position, but not making the blocks. At that time, they were able to execute. A couple of veterans up there getting it done in Kovacs and Pettit.
Robertson going to Surinks, who misplays this one, so there's an ace for Robertson, who also leads the team in kills with 7.
Yeah, another big ace there for Robertson. It's her 2nd in this set.
And Benson was running toward the floor, looking like Manitoba was going to make a substitution, but that's not going to be allowed here. Now, Light Uchechukwu coming over, and a yellow card is issued against Manitoba. Now, this won't be a point awarded, but a caution for the Bisons.
And a delay of game warning officially. First one of those we've seen in a little while here.
So Uchichukwu had that brief discussion with referee 1, Ryan Bunyan. And we're back underway, only temporarily though. After that ace, Robertson will be charged with a service error.
I think many teams would take a delay of game yellow to ice a server potentially. Whether that was intentional, probably not. But one way or another, they get the ball back.
Well, Coach Bentley, you mentioned it earlier, he's been around 35 seasons. Here's Surinks. Spin serve. There you go, an ace.
As a couple of players we saw crash into a chair before, going with the wrestling theme. There's a couple folding tables around here, Tim, as well.
Don't get me excited, okay? This isn't Saturday night's main event wrestling-wise. But yes, we have seen Jost, by the way. I wanted to touch on that. When she went to these steel chairs, she doesn't appear to be affected by that at all. She's looking fine, not bandaged up or anything. Back out there in the serve receive, and there's a wild one by Surinks as she's off the mark.
Even so, though, Manitoba is just hanging around. This lead is held very steady at 3 points since about the 5-2 score. So the Bisons not letting the T-Birds pull away, but also UBC bending at times here, but not breaking, holding on to that lead.
3-point lead for the home side. There's Oxland going to Uchichukwu. Uchichukwu going down the line, taking out Oxland, so second ball from Jost. Vermette away from the net, going down the line. Bentley with the back set. Looked like a difficult one. That is tipped over by Gray. Here's Vermette tipping this one over. The Manitoba defense able to scramble and send this over. UBC running their offense. Pettit going off of hands and scores. As Surinks leaping in the back to try to keep it alive, but Pettit will pick up the point. Now a 4-point lead for UBC.
A valiant effort there by Surinks. Ultimately, a great displays of athleticism by both of these teams. A fun point, though, ultimately won by the T-Birds.
Setter in the back for UBC. Here is Oxland. Uchichukwu. The left side swing gets that to the left of Jost. Picks up the point.
And the captain is on the board here. We really haven't seen Manitoba use their bench all that much. We haven't seen the same depth that the T-Birds have flexed necessarily. Perhaps she can be a spark here.
4 players serve receive for UBC, with Oxland set to run up to the net to set this ball. She will get the ball, makes the set from the 3-meter line, and this will drop in. There you go. Vermette getting the side out for UBC.
Erica Vermette just muscling that one through, extending the lead up to 4. It's usually been waffling between 2 and 3 points here. Coach Bentley used that early timeout, still sitting on his second here.
That was the 3-point differential at 5-2 for UBC. Gray going to Bentley. The back set back over to Gray. She's shut down, and then it goes off the near side. And a point for Manitoba. This will send Gray to the back row.
Gray still sort of the security blanket here for Manitoba. If unsure what to do, if in need of a point, go the way of Ellie Gray.
Gray leading the way in kills with 10. That is the leader in this match, hitting 30%. Nice swing by Vermette, handled though defensively by Manitoba. Uchichukwu going to work, redirects that off the block to score.
She has been really good here off the bench so far. Brought in the back row, staying in for the front, swinging away, adding some nice energy to her team as well.
Cosarini was running toward the net to sub in, but Doug Reimer, head coach, stopped her. So a change of plans there. Had that similar situation for Manitoba and issued the yellow card earlier on in this set. Middle attack, fanning on it though. There's Katojo. This will go over Katojo, and you know what? An ugly one by Bentley. Double contact called. No question about that.
Yeah, she was fighting the net there and trying to fight her teammate also. Really kind of boxed in, trying to play that ball. Take another look at it here, and yeah, Katojo trying to clear out of the way, but really couldn't make enough space for her setter to reasonably play that one.
Here's Kovacs, the 4th-year science student, going to Gray. Uchichukwu, cross court, dug up by Kovacs. Vermette with aggressive tip, picked up though by Surinks. Here's Uchichukwu with 2 blockers. Although the 2 blockers were taken away cross court, she decided to go down the line. Bentley Uchachukwu tipping over top of the block. Oxland diving forward. The setter taken out. And Payson will send over a deep ball picked up by Syrinx. Uchachukwu, the block there. She couldn't go cross court this time. Will the third time be a charm? Yes, drops this one in.
Well, she goes from sparingly playing earlier to just being absolutely fed there. Swing after swing for the captain. And she ultimately is rewarded despite taking 4 or 5 attempts. In the end, it's still 1 point, Tim. It still all counts. And now she'll take a well-earned rest.
Uchachukwu off. Returning to the floor is Andy Almonte, who started this match for Manitoba. Payson. Out of the back. Almonte can't score. She just subbed in. Here's Syrinx with good aggression there. Syrinx able to score. So the back row attack and then the left side finish for Syrinx.
Well, that's usually the person being fed for Manitoba as Syrinx comes up big after getting a little bit of a breather and not being the offensive focal point for a moment. Pettit doing the splits, couldn't quite get to that one, and now Manitoba has a chance to tie.
Payson. Nice swing. Here's Gray. Sending it down the line, goes off the hands, and now Payson going back to work again. Redirects this off the block. As there was some space there, Eve Katojo unable to close the block, and that is able to work through. So UBC back up ahead by 2.
Payson has been really good when called upon for UBC. Again, I think both captains are sporadically being heavily featured. Then you don't see them for a while, and then they are heavily featured once again, and she's come through when called upon.
Bentley. Syrinx. Nice connection, another assist for Bentley. And some celebration also coming from Mary, watching from Kamloops, cheering on the Bison, saying she loves watching this team play. So thank you so much for joining us. Now from Bisons to the UBC attention, as we do have a substitution with Lucy Borowski coming onto the floor, as well as Izzy Robertshaw. So a change-up at the setter position. We won't see Robertshaw go to work just yet. So with Robertshaw in, that's Oxland, who's grabbing a drink of water right now. Sitting down on the bench next to her coaching staff.
What a luxury to have a first-year setter like Robertshaw you can bring in any situation, essentially. Has played in all moments here for this Thunderbird squad and letting you rest your veteran starter.
Robertshaw from Calgary. Number of talented volleyball players in the Canada West coming from Calgary. Pettit rolling it over top of the block. Syrinx down to pick that one up. Robertshaw looking for an assist here. Going over to Robertson, and why not? So another kill for Robertson. She's up to 8, and Robertshaw picking up her 3rd assist.
Well, sometimes you have competition not only between teams but within teams. You've seen that Coach Reimer being so willing to go to his bench so often. Players out there know that they're playing for their playing time as well. Robertson has really taken advantage, even when you have another solid option in Casarini just waiting there on the bench.
Payson. There's Syrinx going off of the block. Rejection. Part of that block, Borowski.
That'll get the crowd fired up right there. When you're able to turn back the player of the caliber of Syrinx, and so cleanly with so much mustard on that one. And it will prompt Manitoba to take its 2nd and final timeout.
That's right. The first one was taken back at that 3-point differential, which Toby pointed out. That seemed to be the trend so far. It was 5-2 early on in this set. Now here we are, 19-15. Second timeout taken by Manitoba. Tim James and Toby Kerr with the call. Again, you can get in touch with us at usportschampionship@gmail.com. You can also tweet us, like Ben, who is watching online right now. Hello, Ben. Tweeted us saying he's enjoying the broadcast. You can find me at Tim James Plus or Toby_Kerr. There you go. And this match officially started at 8:08 Pacific time, and here we are at 9:28 Pacific, nearing the 9:30 mark. And if you were still watching and staying up in Manitoba, thank you for joining us. But I think we've got to give some credit for the Dalhousie fans potentially watching what's going on and maybe scouting who they'll be playing tomorrow in the bronze medal matchup. If you're still up, yeah, it's the early morning right now in Halifax. So great to have you with us if that's true. And hey, if you are, send us a note, usportschampionship@gmail.com.
Well, in yesterday's match, we had Eleanor Lawrence watching her granddaughter until 2 a.m. in Ontario, so that's where the bar is, Dalhousie fans. You got to stick around.
Payson getting us back underway after that break in the action. No more timeouts for Manitoba. Suring's going to work. Rejected here. Left side attack. Now Bentley with the back set going to the right, and it's UBC scoring first out of that break in the action.
One differentiator between these two teams, we've seen UBC sprinkle in that step around play, and they've done so very effectively. When Manitoba has attempted it, I haven't quite seen the same timing and the same chemistry. Looked like that was forced a little bit. Would have been a big momentum point out of the timeout. Instead, it's the biggest lead of the set for the T-Birds.
Bentley down to her knees to play this one here. Suring's going off of the hands to score, and Suring's hasn't always been effective there from that left side, but she is not backing down. Hits that aggressively to score and finally get the side out for the Bisons.
Yeah, Suring staying aggressive. I mean, she does have 12 kills at this point, which is a match high, but it has come on relatively poor efficiency by her standards, yet she is undeterred.
16% right now. That's the efficiency for Suring, who's in the front row. Here's Pettit going to work, and she's going to pick up a kill. That's kill number 7 for Pettit, who is hitting better than 35%.
The balance from UBC continues to be incredible. We've got 4 players between 6 and 8 kills. Pettit, though, at the best or second best percentage there, creeping up on 400.
5-point lead for UBC, the home side. Having some fun here at War Memorial, and why not an ace? That will bring some fans, including the men's volleyball team, to their feet.
Yes, the UBC fans are up and they are excited. And Robertson has put on a show. 3 aces, I believe, in this set alone.
6 white shirts out there for UBC. Robertson's going to drop this in for another ace, another eruption at War Memorial Gym.
Stepping up in the biggest of spots right here. It's now a 7-point advantage for the T-Birds, a neck-and-neck set for the most part. Now the home team is pulling away, and there's no recourse to stop it from Manitoba's side.
And keep in mind, for UBC in the back row is the setter, and that is Robert Shaw. As Oxland is off now, getting some rest after starting this one. Robert Shaw with a back set. Will UBC continue to serve, or will Manitoba get this side out here? No, rejected is Suring, and Pettit screaming with excitement. Even more fans to their feet. UBC with something to celebrate here, trying to take control of this matchup after dropping the opening set.
The buckets, the cowbells, the clappers, the screaming, it's all happening right now in War Memorial Gym. A chance to take it home in what could be a crucial third set.
Robertson, will she get another ace here? No, Arnold, Bentley. Okay, it's a free ball for UBC. Robert Shaw looking to pick up an assist here. Over to Pettit, going off of the hands. Bentley down to the ground. Second ball from the libero. Here's Gray. She goes too far. UBC will take this one convincingly by 9 points. Manitoba trying to show some life, trying to show some fight, and hey, they're going to need to do that. It is must-win territory if they want to play in tomorrow's championship final. It is the Bisons and the Thunderbirds. You are watching U Sports Women's Volleyball, the National Championship, presented by Mikasa. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live at War Memorial Gym and live around the world on CBC Sports. My name is Tim James, Toby Kerr, but that's not important. Toby, let's talk about what's going on out there, because what a finish to that set. UBC right now is up 2-1. The Thunderbirds with a chance to move on to the championship final, but what a finish with Robertson serving there. It was 5 straight points for the Thunderbirds to finish off that third set.
That's a run. No matter what happens here, Jade Robertson's going to remember that for the rest of her life. We don't see sets end on a run like that. 5 points. She picked up 4 aces in the set. That is unbelievable. UBC just able to turn it on, and the home crowd is so boisterous right now. I think that some of this momentum is likely to carry over, but the Bisons, they stay calm, they stay collected, they are unflappable, they cannot be flapped, and we'll see whether they are able to respond here. I think the first few points in this set will be critical.
So Auxland back in as the setter for UBC, Bentley on the Manitoba side, and Toby, you saw a bit of an interaction there with Crazy P, so he's one of the guys who's getting everyone hyped up here at UBC, and it sounded like the Manitoba bench didn't like what was going on there, banging his drum perhaps a little too close.
Yeah, it's Crazy P, a known Vancouver super fan at every single BC Lions game, the odd Canucks game as well, and he got a little up around the bench there and got told off pretty severely by Manitoba assistant coach in that break. Little entertainment for us.
Almonte getting us back underway. Here's Auxland going for the dump, picked up by Arnold Bentley, keeping it away from the net, going over to Sorings, and the Rookie of the Year scores going down the line. It's the Bisons fans standing up first here at War Memorial for the first point in the fourth set.
Well, we've got Bisons fans on the West Coast, but certainly on the East Coast as well, all the way from Newfoundland, where it's past 2 a.m. Stefan Rome is watching, Stefan in Sydney, supporting the brown and gold no matter how late it goes.
Hey, there's something to celebrate if you're watching from Atlantic Canada. It's an ace coming from El Monte.
But not to be outdone, Castus is in Ontario. UBC super fans still awake there saying go Birdies.
Excellent. So we've got some late night fans, a little more comfortable for us. Again, right now it's 9:36 Pacific time here on the West Coast. So El Monte, who picked up the ace, now goes into the net. Again, this is a must-win set for Manitoba.
You can hear the crowd already getting up on each point here in what could be a fourth and decisive set. As the T-Birds, again, this would be a revenge match after getting bounced from the Canada West playoffs by this very team on this very floor.
And look who's back to serve. It's Robertson. Not going to get an ace here. Here's Bentley. She's going to set to the middle, and it's a quick side out with the kill is Katojo.
It's nice to give Robertson a chance to sort of extend a run between sets that she had going. No chance, though. Manitoba quick and efficient there to take the ball out of her hands.
Here is Eve Katojo, sophomore out of Winnipeg, playing for her hometown school, one of the hometown schools. You have the Winnipeg Westmen as well. The Manitoba Bisons defeating the Westmen to advance to this national championship. And mishandled is Surinks, also looking at Katojo. A little bit of a whoopsie on the Manitoba side, so UBC will score, and the setter will rotate to the back row.
And some visible frustration, actually, which has been not something we've seen. We haven't seen much visible emotion from Manitoba's side.
Here's Auxland, who subbed out briefly in this match to allow Robert Shaw to come in and set for UBC. Auxland, though, will continue to serve here. Back-to-back points for UBC, and we are tied at 3-all.
Well, right now, these two teams very even. Manitoba took its first lead in quite a while here to start off the set. UBC, though, knotted things right back up.
Arnold is in the serve receive for Manitoba, but the libero won't see the ball come over the net. Again, earlier on to set up the championship gold medal match tomorrow, it was Trinity Western picking up a win over Dalhousie in straight sets. So the Spartans, the #1 team, perhaps watching this one, maybe from the hotel, maybe they're not here. I do see some TWU fans, though, in the crowd. But the team getting set to play the winner tomorrow. This rolls in, and it's looking like if this was to continue, UBC could be playing at home tomorrow, and that could be an exciting one, Toby, considering if you're not familiar with the area, Trinity Western, about a 50-minute drive campus to campus. Now, some people argue that, saying, come on, Tim, you know traffic in Vancouver, and I'll say, okay, maybe about an hour, over an hour. But still, drivable, and it could be electric here if that is the case. Middle attack, Manitoba trying to make sure that doesn't happen as Badowski picking up the kill out of the middle.
Well, one way or another, we're guaranteed the All-Canada West final at this point, so a lot of teams very familiar with each other, no matter how this thing shakes out. But yes, TWU and UBC, two of the top squads always, and no love lost between those two.
Get ready for a spin serve from Reyes Surinks. Pettit able to handle that one, send it over to Oxland, but off the mark is Kovacs on that middle attack, so Surinks will go back to serve once again. Back-to-back points for Manitoba.
Haven't seen UBC go to Kovacs too often, and the timing just a little bit off there. Mikara Kovacs doing lots of little things well, keeping her spot in the lineup since the early in the second set.
3 players deep in the serve receive, getting ready for this. Roll serve, well, it's going to go into the net, so UBC won't have to worry. And we will have Robertson returning to the floor as the middles rotate front to back for UBC. Kovacs back to put this ball in play.
Kovacs, one of several UBC players with aces already. Got 11 as a team.
Kovacs, one of 6 graduating players, and like I said, 5 earlier on, but 6 for UBC. No grads, though, for Manitoba. Oxen, well, there's Bentley taken down to the ground to keep it alive. Almonte going to work, and she was aggressive there. Did not back down, even with Robertson, part of that double block for UBC. Almonte going off the block to score.
Yeah, Auntie Almonte, I mean, she always just seems to pop up at these surprising moments when she looks like she's off her back foot a little bit. 2 blockers right there. Somehow she's able to pull out a point for her team.
Manitoba still with their setter in the back row. Badowski, though, the middle getting the serve across, but will go out on this one.
Well, to this point, very few errors for both of these teams. Just 6 apiece coming in, averaging 2 a set, which is remarkably efficient serving.
Erica Vermette to Arnold. Bentley backpedaling, takes a tumble, sets it over to Gray. Here's Oxland going to her left side. Surinks pops this one up. This will need to go between the antennas. Certainly does. Free ball for UBC. Can they cash in? Oxland with a step around is Robertson. Picked up though by the libero Arnold. Middle attack by Katojo. Kept alive though by Jost. And then this will be tipped aggressively down the line by Payson, and a point for UBC.
Wow, that was a bit of a strange one there. Payson, though, her vision, she went a little earlier on in that point, went up and decided to just volley it deep to the corner and took a desperation dive from Arnold to keep it alive. She just seems to see things out there at a different level.
Bentley keeps it off the net. And there you go, the kill for Manitoba, thanks to Katojo.
Manitoba, they're not giving up this lead here. It's been knotted up, or the Bison staying just in front.
Yeah, even pace, just like what we saw in the first set, Toby, and then we started to see things change around. Here's Arnold. Almonte. Picking up the kill is Robertson.
Robertson leading the way for UBC with kills. No Thunderbird in double digits despite racking up almost 40 as a team at this point.
Yeah, Surinks with 13, Gray with 10, both Bisons. So Surinks starting to turn it up a bit after it was Gray who was leading for a time, and now Surinks creeping up here. She's hitting at 12%. It's an ace though for UBC. Back out in front is the home side.
Yes, Bryn Payson, this is probably what she's known most for, but she is the 7th different Thunderbird to record an ace. They had 6 T-Birds without their captain, and probably best and most consistent server, picking up 1 until now, and now the T-Birds have their first lead of the set.
We talked about diversing the portfolio offensively, but also from behind the service line. Here's Gray bringing it back inside Bison territory and sent over shallow by Almonte. Oxley stepping around is Robertson. Hey, she can do that. We've seen it before, and we see it again, putting UBC up by 2.
That is so effective. I think that they are using that play to perfection. Both the timing, both the selectivity, and the execution. It seems to work every time they pull it out, and they are just picking their spots very effectively.
And we've seen that step around a lot, too. Go back to the Trinity Western game with Michaela Clay, a big part of that. We saw that time and time again. This will go in for an ace. And the Manitoba defense lets that one go by. Arnold initially saying, what the heck, but we're going to readjust. Surinks is the farthest back for Manitoba. Not part of the serve receive, and a timeout taken by Manitoba.
Coach Bentley staying consistent. First 3-point deficit, he's calling a timeout. We found a pattern here, but this certainly seemed needed for his team. They were playing so well, and suddenly their UBC was just taking it to them. It looked like there was a little bit of uncertainty, lack of assertiveness in going for that ball. That's when you need a reset from the coach.
Well, it was similar. We talked about the first set there where the teams were exchanging points because, yeah, it was that 3-point difference. It was 6-3 in the opening set, and that's where Coach Bentley called a timeout. And then it was tied 11-11, and UBC actually had to call the timeout, and that's where the momentum started to shift. So we're going to see if Coach Bentley can motivate his team to get back into this one and try to change the momentum, because it is a must-win situation for Manitoba. If they lose this set, they will be playing for bronze tomorrow against Dalhousie. We should add, regardless of what happens, win or lose, both teams will be playing tomorrow, but one will be playing for the national title. One will have a chance to dethrone the Trinity Western Spartans, who are the reigning, defending, undisputed U Sports champions when it comes to women's volleyball.
Not sure we have disputed champions in women's volleyball too often.
Another wrestling reference for those who understand.
And TWU has come in, I believe, 4 straight years as the top seed, if you count the championship that was ultimately canceled because of the pandemic. And so it's been a heck of a run for the Spartans. They're likely to be favored no matter what, but will be familiar foes getting a crack at the Kings.
Both the Spartans and the Thunderbirds going head-to-head back in the 2019 U Sports Women's Championship. Had the pleasure of calling play-by-play for that one. It was in Edmonton, with UBC coming out in front and eventually winning that tournament. Surings out of the back is rejected. So first point out of the timeout goes to UBC as the Bisons go to their star rookie but can't get it through.
And Manitoba often does that. They'll try that step play. They'll try a pipe. They'll do something a little creative out of the timeout. Perhaps the T-Birds were just cued in on Surings. Perhaps they saw it coming that time. They looked well prepared.
So Surings is the farthest back. Again, not part of the serve receive. She's just on the end line. This is going to go to Arnold. Forces Bentley to go down to a knee to play this one. Almonte going into the block, but can't wipe it off all the way. It lands inside Bison territory with Robertson and Oxland, part of that block for UBC.
Looks like Robertson probably got just enough on that one. She's not looking super fired up, now in more business-like mode. Perhaps the defensive stops. Try the business-like side. We've seen her get pretty fired up when she gets those kills.
And so we've seen this earlier. We've got Light Uchachukwu coming back in for Manitoba. She sets up, and will she get the ball? No, it's going to go to Arnold, the libero. Bentley. Now here's Uchachukwu. She's had some success offensively, and there you go, Toby. That's impressive when you can sub in and immediately go to work there. Kind of like what we saw with Greywall earlier on.
Yeah, when she's in there, she seems to be a focal point of the offense, and she was pretty efficient. They really kept feeding her. She didn't make any errors on 8 quick attacks, and just like that, she's going to be off for another rest. But good efficiency from the captain off the bench.
So Almonte is back into serve. We have 5 players in the serve receive for UBC. Jost gets it to her setter. It's a left side swing by Pettit. Now the first attack on this rally for Manitoba will go to Surings. Couldn't finish. The timing was off with Robertson outside of the court, tipping that one over. Here's Surings. Second time. Dug up though by Jost. A nice defensive play. Here's Bentley. Middle attack is blocked. We have seen defense. We have seen a block. Almonte sending this one over with a free ball. Can UBC capitalize? They are up by 4 points. Here's Bentley. Over to Surings. She's rejected. An extended rally here. Bentley back over to Surings. Tipping this one. Handled by Oxland. In system. Manitoba. Surings hits it into the block again. Backpedaling is Bentley. Great. Tipping this one into the soft spot. Taking out the center. So Jost looking for an assist here. This is tipped. And it's kept alive. Almonte back inside. And it looked like Surings was thinking about making an attack. She didn't. Free ball coming over. Robertson on this attack that has worked before. Works again to end the rally. My goodness. UBC scores to go up by 5.
The defense just incredible on both sides. I want to give huge credit to Arnold, the libero on Manitoba's side. She covered extremely well, saved about 4 different points there before ultimately Robertson able to overcome everything. Didn't get that much on it, sort of flicked it forward, but picked a perfect spot. And this could be the final timeout of the match for Manitoba if they aren't able to turn things around. Again, Coach Bentley, he is aggressive with his use of timeouts, and we will see if it pays off.
It is a 5-point difference right now. The first timeout was taken back when it was a 3-point difference, 11-8. Now here at 14, serving 9 for the home side UBC. The Thunderbirds right now hitting 22%, while Manitoba is at 16%. When it comes to leaders offensively, Rhea Surinks, who we've talked about, she stepped it up at 13 kills right now, but hitting 7%, so not too efficient. But when you look on the UBC side, we do have one player in double digits. We're talking about Robertson, who we were just momentarily talking about after that rally that was so exciting. Robertson now up to 11 kills, and she's hitting 44%.
Well, I wonder if Robertson's getting a little tired at this point. Her body language has dropped a little bit, even though her play really hasn't. They have used her so much. Quite often you see UBC always using their depth, using the other middles quite a bit, but they've stuck with Robertson quite a lot. Kotsareni has been glued to the bench, even though we see her usually get some significant minutes, but it's been Kovacs and Robertson, and that has worked out well for UBC. And you got to think, especially the way she's serving after getting 4 aces in the last set, she is not coming out anytime soon.
So here is Robertson back. No more timeouts for Manitoba. This is crunch time. If you are a Bisons fan, will they be playing for gold tomorrow? Now they need to get something going. It starts with Arnold passing. Bentley going back over. Katoja was blocked. Thunderbirds scoring first with Katoja coming from the right side this time. Couldn't work it through. We've seen Robertson have some success from the right. Katoja trying it, couldn't do it. Robertson will continue to serve, and a big smile on her face as well. As she's back there, all eyes on her inside War Memorial Gym. 6-point lead for UBC. Arnold taken down to the ground. Bentley going over to Surinks, and you could see her wind up there and cleanly get through the block as well.
Yeah, she really launched forward as well as up there off of 1 foot. Cocked that arm all the way back, hammered that thing down, and Manitoba set up so quickly there was no time for a second blocker to get over there and properly challenge it, as it looked like Kovacs fell for a quick middle fake.
Both teams with their setter in the front row. This is Katoja, who will be off the mark, and that could be a costly point. So no more timeouts. We do have substitutions. You can take 8 of them in one set, and we'll see what Coach Bentley decides to do. We've seen, for example, just coming in briefly, Light Uchachukwu. That worked for Manitoba. 6-point lead, number 6 for UBC. Oxland sending this across. So setter now in the back for UBC. Surinks going to work. Jost able to dig this one. Pettit sends it at a sharp angle, picked up though by Surinks. It's going to be a middle attack and the kill from Podolsky.
Jost looks a little frustrated there. I think the deflection caught her a little off guard, maybe sort of dropping down a bit earlier than she needed to on that one. Nonetheless, though, this is a huge point. Bentley now serving. Manitoba needs a run.
Here's Bentley, the daughter of head coach Ken Bentley. Going to Jost. There you go. Kira Kovacs electrifying this crowd. Right when you think maybe Manitoba can start to string something together, not like that.
Well, she's kind of the secret weapon on this UBC side. I mean, she had been such an important part of the offense earlier in the year. She's taken on a different role now and totally embraced it. But once in a while, wow, can she swing.
Pettit gets it across. Here's Bentley. Back set to Rhea Surinks. And she is off the mark. Surinks has seen volume tonight, leading the team in attacks with 43, leading this match in that category as well. Make it now 44 as the stats just get updated online. Pettit with the standing serve. Backing up Almonte. Bentley. Here's Gray, sending it at a sharp angle. Now Payson, who's going to take that third ball? This Pettit stepping up. And this one will be a Bison's point with Podolsky with the aggressive swing out of the middle.
Yeah, Manitoba certainly needed that one. We've seen them chip away and overcome nearly huge deficits before. Certainly reel in the T-Birds when it looked like they were pulling away previously. But there's not too many points left to spare now.
Surinks facing the noise here at War Memorial, and she goes into the net. Frustration from Surinks. That's her third service error. She has 2 aces. That spin serve we will not see again for at least a little while. Kira Kovacs as the middles rotate front to back for UBC. Kovacs. Surinks will watch this one go out, so back-to-back service errors. Now with Surinks in the back row, and keep in mind, as you know with the Bison, Surinks a threat from the front or the back, and she's in the back right now.
They've been so keyed in on her when she's been in the back, though. I wonder whether Manitoba tries to keep it simple. You've got Gray in the front, you've got Amante as well, and they have been equally dangerous.
Podolsky going to Pettit. Oxland with a quick set to Robertson. Manitoba saying no touch, but yep, referee one, Ryan Bunyan, says absolutely.
Like a pretty clear one from up here. Robertson, as well as taking on unusual volume, has just been incredibly efficient for UBC, almost at 500, 50%.
Some of the UBC fans already starting to stand up here. Now this match is not quite over yet. Let's see what Manitoba can do. It's getting closer though. You have some of the men's volleyball team that are really encouraging, hey, stand up. So one side of the gym is listening to that. The other side is not. Meantime, Gray trying to focus here. Ella Gray, can she get the ball across? Again, Manitoba setting up with their front row trying to block the vision for UBC. Robertson scores. Side out for UBC. Within 4 points of taking this one. Looks like we have a couple of substitutions as well coming up for the Thunderbirds and Toby. And this is what we've seen earlier on, and we haven't seen a big issue with this, so I imagine this could be how we see this match potentially finish.
Well, so much trust from Coach Reimer, bringing in a couple of younger players to get some experience, rest his main veteran starters here in this spot. It is by no means a disrespectful move, as these two play heavy minutes and important minutes all through the season as well.
So Borowski and Robert Shaw entering this set. Robert Shaw now the setter. Here she gets the ball, looking for an assist, goes to the middle to Robertson.
Barring a big comeback here, this is going to go down in T-Birds history as the Jade Robertson game. This is what this is. Seriously, her serving has been incredible. The offense, whether she's being pulled through on the step or whether she is just getting hit or set for as a quick middle, she has just been unbelievable.
Did I mention she's from Delta? No. By the way, Jade Robertson with 14 kills tonight. Bentley. Here's Robert Shaw going over to her left side. Pettit. Bentley wanting to track this one down as Surinks was back, but Bentley still hustling back, trying to make something of it, so perhaps it was a better position for Surinks to try and take that to call off her setter, but Bentley wanted it. Now 2 points away from 25 are the UBC Thunderbirds.
Yeah, I think Bentley in this position, do or die, isn't going to let anybody else get to that ball. She has made a lot of uncomfortable looking passes go right on the mark. Almonte just tried to do a little too much with that.
Payson. Here's Bentley. Two blockers coming over and shutting down Almonte. Now can you feel it? UBC 1 point away from going to the national final. Setting up a lower mainland showdown. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Manitoba need to go on a huge run. Will it end here though? All eyes at War Memorial Gym on Payson. Step one, getting the ball across Arnold. Not a great first touch. Gray. Here's Almonte. She's blocked. UBC moving on to the gold medal final. It will be the host welcoming Trinity Western in the gold medal match on Sunday.
Redemption for the Thunderbirds after being bounced by this team on their home floor in the Canada West quarterfinals. In the even bigger stage, the national semifinals, they get their revenge against a Manitoba Bison's team that really left it all out there. Really strong team effort from a young Manitoba squad. This is going to be valuable experience they will build on. They got the bronze in Canada West. They'll have a chance at the bronze nationally as well. But tonight is all about UBC. They are going to medal on a home floor. The first time UBC has hosted the Nationals in 40 years. And it is going to end in the most dramatic and spectacular way imaginable against the rivals, the top team in the country, the Trinity Western Spartans.
Now, Toby, I can imagine who you would say for UBC, so maybe we'll start here with Manitoba when it comes to the Mikasa Player of the Match, which is just about to be announced. Stay with us. We also have an interview coming up. But first, who do you think would be the Mikasa Player of the Match for the Manitoba Bisons? We talked a lot about them defensively, so who would stand out for you offensively or defensively for the ladies in brown?
Well, you know what? I think that you might well see Bentley. Oh, and there it is. I might have cheated a little bit in seeing that, but I was thinking that it was Bentley or Arnold probably. We didn't see super efficient hitting, so I didn't think it was going to be any of the hitters. Bentley was so good. I thought Bentley could have very easily been the player of the match last game, and this is a deserving one here. She played great.
Oh, it's Casey Jost. So there we go, the player that we previewed earlier on. So this may be, as you say, going down in history as the Jade Robertson night, but Jost will actually get the Mikasa Player of the Match award.
Well, also very deserving. I think it was a great time to shout out to Libero, who's just been so solid. They don't always get the same shine, but Jost, well deserving. She's a senior herself, not graduating yet, likely to step into a very significant leadership role next year. So both the present and likely future leader of this T-Bird squad.
And when it comes to Jost, she had 20 digs in last night's match, 21 here through the 4 sets, but actually leading the match in that category when it comes to digs, Julia Arnold with 22. When it comes to kills, we had lots of talk, of course, about Jade Robertson, who finished with 14, and she was hitting 52%. Rhea Syrinx also with 14 kills, but not quite as efficient, hitting at just 7%. So, Toby, this will set up tomorrow the bronze medal match, Manitoba, the Magic running out. We've seen some upsets from the Bison, so I think regardless, there's something to celebrate if you're watching in Winnipeg tonight, regardless, with this season. Because even coming in and defeating the Winnipeg Westmen in the playoffs to advance, there's lots to celebrate and to actually win the first set here tonight. But regardless, it will be Manitoba taking on Dalhousie tomorrow. Could there be some magic, because Manitoba again will knock off a conference champion in the Dalhousie Tigers?
Well, it certainly will be very interesting to see a young Manitoba team taking on a Dal team that's here every year, a 10-time defending AUS champion. So 2 very different squads. Whereas this Manitoba team, I mean, they are the 4th Canada West team in this tournament, a very strong West representation, but they showed that they more than deserve their place here, beating MRU and then getting to this point hanging with a team that had a huge home court advantage. I think you can say that the fans, that the energy in this building played into the result tonight. It certainly made it a heck of a fun time for us and everybody involved.
So it looks like we do have the head coach of UBC joining us, Doug Reimer. So first of all, Doug, giving us the thumbs up. Thank you very much. So Doug, first of all, congratulations, and just run us through the emotion here, because you dropped that opening set and you come back. So how are you feeling after this one shaped up in 4 sets?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a little while ago, but completely different feel at the end of the 4th than the end of the 1st. So, you know, that's, I think, one of the things that makes volleyball special. Really doesn't matter what you do in that 1 set. You've got to win 3, but you don't win them all at once. You got to win 1 set, the 2nd set, the 3rd set. I know that sounds far too simplistic, but really you need to keep your focus in the moment. And you could see we were a little out of sorts, and it appears in a number of different areas. We got a little over anxious blocking wise. It's like just trying a little bit too hard to get there, and then the rhythm wasn't there. One of the absolute keys is maintaining. I thought we served really well even at the start of the 1st set. Like, we had a good lead and we had some chances to probably put some balls away, and then we missed some easy opportunities, and the Bisons were too good to let us do that. After that, I thought wearing them down with some serving in, part of the 2nd set, but being able to maintain that was really impressive, and then other parts of our game improved.
Well, Coach, late on in this one, he started calling it the Jade Robertson game, because she led the team in blocks, in aces, in kills, and in hitting percentage. Can you talk a little bit about her performance tonight?
Yeah. Well, she would be absolute, like, just from my previous comment, I don't think she'd be happy with some of the things, how she started. And from then on, just raised her play. It's one of the things that's just, so awesome in these kind of do-or-die matches. It's, her last year. And just to see, you can see as people are little more dialed in, and they're just going after it. They're not overthinking it and playing with the right level of, we're calling it courage, but call it freedom to, make a mistake, make a good play. That's what we need to do.
And finally, Coach, I want to talk about tomorrow night. We've got the gold medal match, so again, congratulations to you. But this could be an interesting one here at War Memorial Gym, because I imagine more than a few Trinity Western fans will make the short drive from Langley to come out to tomorrow's match. But I do want to touch on that. So what are your thoughts then on this Trinity Western Spartans team, and how are you going to prepare for the #1 team in the country?
Right. Well, we will start about 5 minutes after we finish this interview. I mean, obviously we know a lot of their players well, and we had 2 good 5-set matches against them pre-Christmas. We had a bit of a lull, but I can say we're going to play with energy, and I would be, it should be a great match, and I don't think you can ask for more in the gold medal game, especially having, a home team and an almost home team.
Absolutely. So 2 teams from the Lower Mainland going head-to-head tomorrow. Doug, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for the coverage.
That is the head coach of the UBC Thunderbirds, Doug Reimer, joining us after this matchup in which the Thunderbirds do advance after defeating the Bisons in 4 sets. This match starting at 8:08 Pacific. It ended at 9:58 Pacific. The duration, 1 hour and 50 minutes. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast on CBC, presented by Mikasa. Now it's time for us to say goodnight. For Senior Manager of Communications at UBC, Stu Walters, Executive Producer Choi L. Brown, and Toby Kerr doing the color commentary tonight. My name is Tim James, and at 10:05 Pacific, we say goodnight from UBC.
Hey, U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team. U Sports on CBC, les championnats U-Sport. Brought to you in part by, vous êtes présenté par Nike Team, Just Do It. Faites-le. Baron, exclusive supplier of U-Sports Championship rings. Le fournisseur exclusif des bagues de championnat U-Sport. Fox 40, celebrating a decade of the Fox 40 U-Sports Coach of the Year program. Fier partenaire des prix de l'entraîneur de l'année U-Sport depuis 10 ans. By Veriburn, proud medical supplier to university sports since 1979. Fier partenaire du sport universitaire depuis 1979. The Government of Canada. Le gouvernement du Canada. Et par Mikasa, l'étoile montante du volleyball, le V200W, ballon officiel de U-Sport. And by Mikasa, makers of volleyball's hottest star, the V200W, the official volleyball of U-Sports.